ballers, what's going on? Epic Army of the Dead intro, yeah! Oh my god, so cool. It's the Blood Deathknight. You guys have been asking me about Blood DKs. How are they doing? How are they feeling? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they ugly? What the hell's going on with them? Well, let's talk about it. Let's see how they've changed from Mr. Pandaria. There's a lot of questions when I do the tanking videos, which is, Breacher, what is the best tank? That's just not the way it works. It isn't the way it works at all. It's just not. It's all about what boss needs what cooldowns. DKs obviously generally are the more efficient when it comes to sort of magical damage, and even with their absorbs, they're pretty cool against physical damage. Let's look at the changes. I'm not going to be answering that question. I'm just not doing it. I'm not. I refuse. Blood DK. Okay, like the Assassination Rogue that we've also done today, there's just not much changes. They've actually kept everything pretty much as was, which I'm fine with. I really am fine with. Blood DKs were in a good state. So let's talk about it. We've got Death Strike, obviously our bread and butter ability. More Death Strikes, more survivability, more shields that absorb us, all good. Let's have a read of it just to make sure everybody's clear on what Death Strike does. It focuses dark power into a strike that deals 200% weapon damage, plus 900 to an enemy, and heals you for 20% of the damage that you have sustained during the preceding 5 seconds. Minimum of at least 7% of your maximum health. This attack cannot be parried. You cannot parry your Death Strike. You can be dodged. So expertise can be a little bit important. Expertise can be considered a survivability stat, mainly for the DKs because of the Death Strike. Heart Strike. Instantly strike the target for up to 2 additional nearby targets. Right, cleaves 3 mobs at once and hits like a truck. 125% damage, plus 753. Damage dealt to each target is increased by additional 15% for each of your diseases present. So diseases do matter. What the hell? What is happening behind me? What is this as you're fluttering? Go away. Pain in the ass. Rune Strike replaces your Death Coil and all that kind of stuff in your Frost Strike. You get your Rune Strike. Strike the target for 155% weapon damage. This attack cannot be dodged, blocked, or parried. Very cool. This is the way we dump our runic power with our tank. Very awesome. Vampiric Blood. Increase the amount of healing and amount of health the Death Knight receives from healing and spell effects by 40% for 10 seconds. 1 minute cooldown. Love this ability. It's so much more important than just having extra health. It's the fact that those heals land on you do so much more. You'll get more benefit from it. Rune Tap is still there, costing 1 blood rune, healing you for 10% of your maximum health. And Dancing Rune Weapon is still there. Summons a second rune weapon that fights on its own for 12 seconds and it copies your damage. Awesome! You gain an additional 20% parry, so it is a defensive cooldown as well. Don't think of it as like a threat generator. It's really not. It costs 60 runic power and it gives you 20% parry for while it lasts. So 20% parry, nice. 12 seconds, we like that. Let's go into the spells. Like I say, nothing much has changed, but the one thing that has changed is fucking awesome. One of the big problems I had with Blood DKs is they felt very slow. They felt pretty slow, especially in 5-mans where I like to just charge through like an absolute hero. I want to get through a 5-man as quickly as humanly possible. Why? Because I'm going to be running them a hell of a lot, right? So after a few, I just want to get through it. I want to get it done. And I also want everybody to be interested. I want people to be interested. And if you go faster, people tend to be more interested and more involved. And healers tend to not get bored. All that kind of stuff happens. As long as you're managing it correctly, obviously, not just trying to pull the whole instance and dying all the time. That's no good. So Blood DKs now have a 1 second global cooldown. That's right, 1 second global cooldown, which means we can really start firing out the abilities. I love this aspect of it. 1.5 seconds did feel a little bit slow sometimes, especially when a lot of the other tanks have some sort of instant cast, instant ability they can use and then they can get into their rotation. That's all well and good. Blood DKs, now with a 1 second global cooldown, travel really, really quickly and are able to do and perform actions equally as fast. Love it. Great change. That is all the change that I really wanted, if anything. One change that was originally in the beta and has been changed is Outbreak. Diseases are kind of the pain in the arse of the Blood DK, because diseases affect everything that we do. Outbreak was changed to a 30-second cooldown. Blizzard didn't like that. They didn't. They changed it back to 1 minute. You can see that it's Outbreak's got a 1 minute cooldown. I don't like this at all. I really don't. Diseases are kind of just a pain in the ass for me as a tank. I just don't enjoy that aspect of the Blood DK personally, especially when I'm trying to get a good pull. So a warrior will go in and smash something with a shield slam. You know, Pallies can do the same thing, get 3 holy power and go a big shield of the righteous. Same with the Fel Druids, going with a big berserked mangle, all that kind of stuff, and just go crazy, crazy threats straight off the bat. Blood DKs don't. They need to get the diseases on, so they might start with a Frost Fever and then a Plague Strike, and then they'll get into like a big heavy hitting thing. Of course, at the very original pull, we can start with Outbreak as we move in, but Outbreak is just not a powerful, hard hitting ability. It really isn't. The disease aspect, I would liked the Outbreak being on a 30-second cooldown. I thought that was pretty cool. Let's look at the talents for the Blood DKs. I think it's reasonably important before we go into the passives that everyone picks up. Rolling Blood. This thing is fan-bloody-tastic, and it comes back to TBC. This used to be in the games in TBC, and they've brought it back. For tanks, this is just fantastic, and I'm going to show you so many examples of why in the 5-mans that I'm going to run in a few moments. Rolling Blood, your Blood Boil ability now triggers Pestilence if it strikes a diseased target. Essentially, you will never have to reapply diseases. So what I just spoke about is only raid boss situations. If you've got a load of ads and you're moving through a dungeon very, very coolly, calmly, collected and fast, with Rolling Blood, you can just keep it going all the time. I want to say rolling, but it's spelled roiling blood. I don't know, it seems like some weird combination of boiling and rolling. I guess Blizzard was going for something along those lines. But yeah. It's actually the tooltip that's bugged. It says rolling on the talent, but the tooltip says roiling. Rolling Blood. So every time we Blood Boil now, our diseases just fire off. So we don't have to waste a global on doing Pestilence. We can just keep doing Blood Boil, getting the damage out of that, and spreading our disease at the same time. Picking up AMZ and throwing it around is really cool, especially as it's targeted. As a tank, we can AMS a lot of frontal cone stuff and all that, but we might see that our raid's about to get smashed. Let's say our raid over here is this Rhinos. This isn't too far from the truth. There's a bunch of Rhinos over here, or Mushans. Oh, dude, what? Your timing's impeccable, Druid Docs. But let's say Druid Docs is about to get magically smashed in the face and not by a charge. Some huge AoE. I can go ahead and AMZ him right over there. You see that? So cool that I can plan that on the raid. I find that really, really good. Death's Advance, you get a passive 10% movement speed. You guys know I love my movement speed. I absolutely adore movement speed, especially for tanks. The tank should always be at the mobs faster than the DPS, otherwise something is going wrong. I love this. And we also get a Zoom Zoom on use cooldown, 30-second cooldown of Death's Advance. We go Zoom Zoom faster. Very much cool. Death Pact. Love this for the tanks as well. We summon a pet and then we sacrifice it for 50% of its maximum health. We get a big, big heal from that as a tank. It's so important. There's a big defensive cooldown, a huge emergency heal. Mix it in with Vampiric Blood. We're in really good shape. The runic choice I went with was Runic Corruption. The reason I went with that over something like Blood Tap was always kind of cool for the Blood DKs. I fully agree with that. And overall, people may prefer Blood Tap. But Runic Corruption, when it goes off, when we Rune Strike and we get this increased generation rate of our runes, we start throwing out so many Death Strikes and Heart Strikes that in the 5-mans, I absolutely adore it. It can always proc at the wrong time. There is definite times when it will do that, where Blood Tap will be there on demand. We need an emergency Death Strike. Blood Tap will allow us to do that, where Runic Corruption might not deliver. That can happen. But personally, I'm loving Runic Corruption in my 5-mans. Really enjoying it. Really, really useful. When it fires off, I just start churning out Death Strikes and Heart Strikes left and right and just do massive amounts of DPS. You match it up with a Dancing Rune weapon, you're doing some crazy stuff. Let's look at the glyphs. Some good There's some good glyph choices for the Blood DK. First of all, the Vampiric Blood one, which instead of it giving you extra health, 50% extra health, it's actually the one that benefits more healing. So I love glyphing this. It's so much more useful than having a last stand. Really enjoy it. I think it's a perfect little glyph. Sure, there are some situations where having the extra health is better, but overall, Vampiric Blood giving you that extra healing is so much better, especially with a slightly awake healer. Mix it in with your Death Strikes, and again, things like Death Pact. Very, very cool. Dancing Rune Weapon, increase your threat generation by 100% while Dancing Rune Weapon is active, but reduce its damage dealt by 25%. It's not the best. I know it's not the best. I know it's not fantastic. But personally, I just love being able to do so much threat at the beginning of a fight that I can focus on absolutely everything but what I'm doing to the boss, if that makes sense. While I'm tanking a boss, I don't really want to watch the boss. I want to make sure the party is okay. That's always the way I've tanked. It's always served me well. Watching a boss is kind of just like watching a paint dry. There's only a couple of abilities I ever need to watch for on a boss. Other than that, I want to make sure the raid's okay. I want to make sure that if there's anything that needs moving, the boss might need moving, my focus and attention is away from what's in front of me. I can usually track a cooldown with a boss mod, for instance. I don't need that. So I just like this extra threat issue, so it just makes the threat issue completely null and void. I like that. Glyph of AMS, cause your AMS shell to absorb all incoming magical damage up to the absorption limit. I really like that, just to make sure that if we miss time AMS or anything like that, we're still in good shape, that we're still in a nice, decent place. Of course, you will, while leveling one Glyph of Dark Sucker, when you kill an enemy that yields experience honor while in Frost or Unholy Presence, your next Death Strike within 15 seconds will restore at least 20% of your maximum health. Bear that in mind that if you're leveling, keep a separate Blood Spec that is without Dark Sucker. Just note that it only works in Unholy and Frost Presence. Some people watched the Rogue video and were definitely commenting that, you know, things like Glyph of Deadly Momentum and similar sorts of glyphs that kill enemies and give you a bonus to doing that could apply elsewhere. Glyph of Darksucker only works in Unholy and Frost Presence, so just bear that in mind. So have a quick look at the passives before we jump into me speed tanking. I know you guys love watching me tank stuff super fast. There's always the comments I get. Your Blood Parasites are now passive. They're still there. You still get your Blood Worms. All good. Your Blood Rights are still there. Whenever you hit with Death Strike, the Frost and Unholy Runes will convert to Death Runes. Cool. No problem with that at all. Your improved blood presence is where all your defensive stuff comes from. It increases your rune regeneration by 20%, which parries up nicely with the 1 second global cooldown, so we always have a resource. Some people think that having a 1 second global cooldown will mean we haven't got enough stuff to do. No, improved blood presence fixes that for us. We've got our blood shield, obviously mastery, buffing our blood shield. I'm sure we're going to be going straight into mastery as soon as we are live and raiding. Roiling blood, we know what that is. Runic Corruption, we know what that is. Sanguine Fortitude still there to make sure we get the full 50% damage reduction from using our Icebound. Very cool. Scarlet Fever still exists. When you Blood Boil, causes your Blood Boil to refresh your diseases on the target if it damages, and your Blood Plague to also afflict enemies with weakened blows. So there you go. Keeping diseases rolling is very, very easy. Just be aware that sometimes if you're swapping mobs or raid bosses and shit like that, it can all go a little bit pear-shaped. But Scarlet Fever is there, so Blood Boil will refresh your diseases on the target. Yeah. Sense of Blood. Your successful main hand auto attacks have a chance to increase the healing and minimum healing done by your Death Strike within 20 seconds by 20%. It stacks 5 times. Some people are going to be tracking Sense of Blood. I have no doubt. Most people will not be. They will be like, I've got a big Death Strike here. I'm just going to use it. I'm just going to use it because it stacks up anyway. You still got Veteran of the Third War, which gives you 9% stamina and 2% extra dodge. And you still have Will of the Necropolis. When a damaging attack brings you below 30% of your maximum health, your rune tap will just fire off. And it's all good. It's ready to go. Cool. Those are the changes to the Blood DK then. Again, there's a combination of things. The only issue I have, again, is the Outbreak issue being on 1 minute cooldown. But there are so many ways of countering it that it's not too bad, if that makes sense. It's not the end of the world. There's just various... I just don't like it when if I do eventually let diseases drop, I then have to fire off another Frost Fever, another Plague Strike. It's rare it can happen, but when it does, it annoys me. It's just one of those things. Let's jump into some gameplay and tank some stuff. Let's get straight into it by showing some Roiling Blood. Now, Rolling Blood is the god's gift to the Blood DK. I adore this. This is just disease heaven. Check it out. So I'm tanking a few mobs, you know, some crazy monkey action. I'm thinking, you know what? Daddy needs some more monkeys. How often in the day we sat there thinking to ourselves, you know what I need? Some more monkeys. I'm never happy until I've got a good chunk of monkeys all over my nuts. I want monkey nuts. Monkey nuts are awesome, but let's look at the screen. Every single Blood Boil spreading those diseases, those golden delicious diseases for every little monkey. Oh, monkeys, I'm sorry. It's a little bit Project X in there, I know. There's so many tests going on all over these monkeys. But just check how easy that is. Look at that. The whole room just picked up. 1 second global cooldown. Mix that in with Rolling Blood. You're in 5-man heaven, baby. You are in 5-man heaven. Look at the damage just mounting and mounting and mounting on and on and on. It all works together so nicely. I absolutely adored this. I did play so many dungeons on the Blood DK. I had great fun. I had to show this as well. Just again, same situation. I'm just rolling through some rabbits. If I'm not tanking monkeys, Daddy needs some rabbits. And Daddy wants all the rabbits and all the carrots up in his face. And I'm just rolling through. I'm dropping some Death Strikes, convert those into Death Runes, and just keep going around spamming that Blood Boil, baby. Because you know what? Everything's getting diseased. I'm tanking the whole world. Some other tanks really have issue with this this gauntlet encounter. They're trying to pick up every single mob. It's just not as easy as it looks. Blood Boil, no cooldown. Depends on your blood runes, but we can control that. It just means I can just keep going and going and going. Sorry to sound like the Duracell. Wait for it. Bunny! Screen full of bunnies. Preacher got it in there. What a guy. Absolutely love it. This was just fantastic. A couple of examples of how awesome this is. It's really, really just a fantastic change. I love the rolling blood stuff. Spreading diseases was such a pain in the ass through Wrath of the Lich King and through Cataclysm. It was for me anyway. I just felt it was such an unnecessary little hindrance holding us back constantly. But no, not anymore. It's just, look at this. It's just glory. Oh, I need to pick up a ton of mobs. Well, I'm going to blood boil you, baby. I'm going to spread those diseases around. Everything's just getting more and more threat constantly. All the damn time. Diseases, of course, are not AoE capped. They just keep going and going and going. So we're going to throw in some Hoptalius for you. I do some little... I'd like to say it was a clutch AMZ, but it wasn't. It's just a cool AMZ. But it just shows you how these talents work together in the 5-man. I think pretty much the 5-man build I was using in this video is, in fact, the best. It's just fantastic. It's so cool. Really is. You can modify and switch up your talents so quickly. One good aspect of this is when we do have to AoE tank and we're in the middle of a boss fight and all that good stuff, it's not a big deal. It really isn't, because we've got so many tools in the arsenal. We can get a Death and Decay down. There goes the Blood Boil, spreading those diseases all over the place. Drop down a D&D, and there it is. AoE glory. Look at all those blue markers coming to daddy. AMZ on the team. They are about to get Hoptalius Carrot Breath. Drops an AMZ on them, looking after the party at the same time. That is how a baller does it. We're not watching the boss. We don't care about boss threat. Hell, he's not even targeting us. He's spraying Carrot Breath. We're watching out for everybody else. And that's what makes us so cool. We're watching out for the whole damn team all the time. And look at us just rolling in easy mode. Everybody's got a good mode for this. Throwing out some taunts when he's got to fly around. Blood DK, 1 second global cooldown. You can see I'm never resource starved. Never. I'm never in the point where I'm like, oh, I've got absolutely nothing to do, man. This really sucks. What am I going to do? And you can see as well with Scarlet Fever throwing out that Blood Boil to obviously disease all these little bunny rabbits, but you can see it's refreshing the diseases as well on the target. These are the big changes. They're not major gameplay changes, they're just quality of life changes, and I adore that. I adore a little quality of life change, just making my life so much easier. Throw out a couple of Death Strikes, instantly get some Blood Shields up, get the healing going. Playstyle still the same, but look how this all synergizes together, guys. It's fantastic, and this bunny did not know what hit it. Daddy was here to smash some bunny rabbits. That's the Blood DK changes, guys. You enjoy it when it hits Mr. Pandaria, because I know you will.